This match review comes to us from EliteCrystal, who has 503 hours in the game of Dead by Daylight. So you are about halfway to the zone where I expect most people to be adept at their macro and micro games. So you should have fairly quick chases, but also good macro play at that level. You're only about halfway to that level though. So there's gonna be some stuff that you don't have under your belt, and that's totally fine. That's totally okay. You are playing the Xenomorph, excellent person to ask, because I have the stats, wrote the guide, all that wonderful stuff. Also a very, very good killer, but I'm like high B tier. I don't think they're low A, but like they would be like the top of B tier potentially. You're playing on Gas Heaven, which is not a very killer-sided map. The car walls can be especially frustrating for M2 killers. That main building is extremely rough. Not a whole lot of killers can play that efficiently, and it used to be worse. So there's a lot that's like not going in your favor from the map side of things. But let's take a look at Addon's Picks. Okay, so you're using Bam Bolt, which is totally fine. Keep in mind that when you want to succeed on Xenomorph, at least have consistent results, you run 2 of 3 add-ons, that being Emergency Helmet, which helps reduce the stagger from the flame charges. You have Self-Destruct Bolt, which is what you're also using, which increases your vault speed by 30% in crawler mode. And then you have the other turret add-on you could potentially run, which is Lambert Star Match, which lowers the turret range by 2 meters. Any combination of these works. Sometimes I see Emergency Helmet Bolt. I see a lot of Star Map Bolt. I see that probably the most commonly. Do double turret as well. But any combination of these works great. You're doing kind of like a hybrid build between 2 slowdown and 2 vault perks to synergize with Bam Bolt. I would say that this build is just fine. Do keep in mind you are kind of doubling up on, you're kind of putting a lot of eggs in one basket for like the vault situation, because you already have an add-on that helps with vaulting, and then you have Bam, which is to be expected, but you also have Superior Anatomy, which is fine, but just keep in mind that that's a lot dedicated to just doing one specific thing. Not a huge criticism, but it's just like something to keep in mind, that if you're finding yourself needing a little bit more umph in your build, I'd maybe ditch Superior, but like it's not that bad. What's the absolute best build on Xeno for like win streak? I have a lot of builds that are really good for sweatiness and win streaking that is in the guide. I would say probably the typical stuff like Corrupt, Pop, not Corrupt Pop, but Corrupt, Pain Res, probably Eruption, and then something else. Maybe Deadman's. Something like that. Quad slowdown, essentially. So, yeah. Let's take a look at the game, though. Grim, I'm not a huge Grim guy. That could just be my bias kicking in. I'm not a huge Grim person, because what ends up happening with Grim Embrace is that you have the last person playing super immersive and you don't get the most value, because the first 3 stacks of Grim Embrace are basically nothing. I think that's what gets me about it. The first 3 stacks of Grim Embrace are basically useless, because the gens stop for like barely any time down, and then they just get right back on the gens. It's that 4th hook that really matters. But if the 4th survivor is just like going incognito, you know, Bravo 6 going dark, you just don't get value. So it's like, that's kind of why I'm not a huge fan of that perk. It's a good perk. It's just like, me personally, that's why I don't run it very often. I used to run it a lot because I used to have a build focused around intentionally hooking all 4 survivors, but like I said, all it takes is one immersive gamer and you're just like host. I'd much rather run like Pain Res Deadman's and then like Corrupt Eruption. I feel like Pain Res Eruption is like a very underrated combo. Very, very underrated combo in Xeno. Because you kick a gen, you set up Eruption, you down them, get the I know you're setting up Eruption here, but like you haven't got the hit on this guy yet, so I probably would have waited to do that. Because that gen doesn't even have that much progress. So erupting it, like wasting time to kick it before starting a chase with Eruption is kind of like inefficient. Yeah, I'd much rather run Deadman's over Grim if I'm going to run like a gen blocking perk like that. I know Gray likes the Pyramid Enemy, likes Deadlock. I'm not a huge Deadlock fan either. Yeah, I would have just broken that door. But you do have Bam Bolt, so it should be fine. Like, that door is just really annoying. That front door being up like it is. It's just really frustrating no matter what killer you play. Unless you're nurse, obviously. Or you just go through. Or pyramid, I guess. And again, if you're pyramid and you miss the shot, like, you gotta stop and break the door anyways. Thought you were waiting for eruption to come off cooldown so you can kick that again. I don't know if you're just like indecisive about who you want to chase or if you're actually not being able to tell where these guys are going. Because there's plenty of times somebody's just gonna like slip by you and it's kind of adding a lot of time to all of your chases. Is your DPI like super low? I know you're on PC, I can tell. But like whenever you're turning, you're like literally going like, it's very like robotic and stiff. And that may be why you're not having a hard time seeing people at like the edge of your vision, because it seems like your camera pan is like really stiff. You can't like turn and see where they are. Hit that. You were able to hit that? You just threw it way too late. Like she throws that, she's running left, you just throw that earlier, you hit her correctly. It's just like you waited really long for some reason. You once again, you could have tail attacked there. I think that's what people don't see when they're playing Xenomorph. Is that like, yeah, I can just zone with crawler mode and like get the M1, but like the chases, you shave off so much time by going for M2s. You may be like, okay, well, like how much time does it truly save it? Match time is gen time. So time saved is time saved. You not destroying that other turret right in front of you is very risky. Because if he decides to run you back through that, that is... Ooh, nice shot. Good correction there. Yeah, because you're going to have to deal with this now. Yep. And you lost your power. I told you, deal with your turrets. Deal with your turrets. This is what I'm saying. That's what I keep telling people. I told you it's going to come back to haunt you. And it did. Is a gameplay just to like tunnel plot out? Oh, plot twist. Oh, plot twist. Thank you. Another one, thank you. Didn't see it first. The blue and white sparks are very bright. Look for those. If you're coming out of control station, you will see the blue, the light blue, blue and white sparks. Because those were like in your face. Causation of the entity blocking the gen signify? What do you mean? What does it signify? Oh, you mean like the little red thistles that pop up? So a lot of really annoying killers in the game in the past, like Knight and previous Skull Merchant, used to be able to just pick 3 gens close to each other at the beginning of the match and just sit there forever and force the 3 gen from 5 gens and hold it there and make the matches go for like hours. that led to a lot of changes in the game, like the cap for games being an hour. But another one of the changes they implemented to try and stop that was making it to where a gen can only suffer 8 damage states before it becomes undamageable. That way, you couldn't just like camp a 3 gen from match go and be really, really obnoxious. Yeah, over Brian Eruption. If you survived over Brian Eruption and you played Survivor, you are entitled to financial compensation. That's why I always find it funny in like DBD community when killer mains like super aggressively biased killer mains are like, killers have never had anything, it's always been super survivor sided. I was like, you guys remember you can just dry kick a gen and win the game? Do you guys remember that? Because I remember that. I absolutely remember that. Or you could just end cap somebody just by dry kicking a gen. Because that was insane. Come on now. I notice you're not really like sometimes you use your tunnels and sometimes you don't. Which is something I do, but it's because I'm like playing casually. Like if you guys have like, there've been a couple charity, not a couple, like a handful of charity tournaments I've been in. You guys see me playing in those, so like I'm in my tunnels like nonstop. There's no reason not to. It's just kind of like a me like pulling my punch sort of thing. The game's not that deep. But realistically, you should just be using your tunnels to get over. Nice shot. Excellent. Excellent read. I didn't think MFT was like... I think MFT was over-exaggerated in how bad it was, but it definitely was really, really strong for no value. Or for no input. For how much value you got. How's the match reading going? Awful. I'm having a terrible time. You caught me the one time, and I'm pissed. I'm furious, and I can't take it anymore. Okay. Going awesome. Match reviewing my main killer. Yeah, see how, like, you know, even though you have Bambo, like, it would have been easier just to, like, walk through there. That happens to me sometimes. Oh, hey. Good thing you had Ripley's watch. Oh, that's right, you didn't. Not getting into the tunnel to get your power back right away is going to hurt you. You don't have Overmorph or anything. Like, that cooldown's pretty bad. That's going to hurt you. 3 Friday games in a row? Why? Am I asleep? Yeah, I think that... I don't know if it's your DPI or what, but it seems like your movement when you're scanning to see where somebody is like extremely stiff. And you're missing stuff out of the corner of your eye. Because your camera pan is so slow. And that's hurting you a bit. If you were like controller, I'd be like, okay, well, like, you can't really help that, so whatever. But like, you're on PC, so you absolutely can. Oh, she sandbagged the heck out of him. I can imagine he's happy. No! The chem trap. Okay, so you had Claude dead to rights there, right? So she's Death Hook. And you knew she was on the other side of Shack. Why did you just, like, dive into the tunnel and run away? Like, realistically here, you haven't had a gen pop in quite a while. But realistically, you're about to be at 2 gens, because a gen is going to be popping soon. So you need to start thinking about who you need to get out of the game. And you had the Death Hook gamer, like, right next to you, and you just kind of, like, ran away for some reason. That was definitely a blunder. Yeah, once again, I say this a lot when it comes to Xeno reviews, but you don't want to be, like, hanging out in the tunnels like that, just slowly tracking somebody. It's better to, like, come out and W them down. It just saves more time than just, like, lurking and waiting. It's thematic, it's cool, but, like, it doesn't do you a lot of favors. Your map? Your map. Not your nap, your map. They're good on their turrets. Also feels like sometimes you kind of forget that you have BAM ult superior. Because there's been plenty of times you could have shut down a window at the beginning of a chase and you just don't. Yeah, I think at this point, just having that door open would have been far more helpful than just BAM bolting it every time. Like, some of these would have been hits if you could just go through the doorway. Yeah, at this point, you need Claude. You needed Claude a while ago. Claudita. That clam spear. Yeah. In a macro way, you're in a really bad spot. Because they have multiple gens nearly done. And they only have 2 to go. That's one of the hard things with DVD is realizing, yeah, you lose people very, very easily because your camera movement's so stiff. Like, a lot of people see, oh, I'm at 3 gens, so I'm fine. But they don't think about, like, how much gen progress is probably going on in the game. So realistically, you were... yeah, you lose people a lot. That's kind of like the main thing I'm seeing that's, like, really hurting you. Is that you keep, like, losing people out of the corner of your eye in your periphery. And while, you know, having a chase extended by 2 to 3 seconds doesn't seem like a big deal, when it's happening every single chase consistently, like, that adds up after a while. And match time is gen time. Yeah. if you had just, ooh, jeez, if you had gotten a plot earlier, you would have been fine. The frames are dropping. Can somebody call a maid so they can sweep up the frames off the floor? Yes, Steve? We barely even saw you. Like how they're just looking at you like, yeah? They brought some good stuff too. Peace Fringe. Claudette really wanted to get out. Oh, she wanted to go to Midwich. That's weird. Okay. Well, in terms of your main takeaways for this game, your first one is, like I said, for your first takeaway. I don't know if it's like your DPI or what, but like when you're panning left and right, it's so stiff that you're like losing people out of the corner of your eye, and it's happening while you're chasing. Like you'll be following somebody down the side of a loop and they'll take a corner and you don't see them take the corner because instead of like, you know, having instead of a sluggish turn, your turn should be like this, where like should be like quick and snappy, but your turns are very like almost like you're on a controller. Like, that's what it feels like. You're not on controller, but your turns feel like you're on a controller where they're just like super restrained, and it's actually hurting your chases a lot because you're losing people mid-chase. Like I said near the end of that game, 2 to 3 seconds added to a chase doesn't seem like a big deal, but when it's happening every chase the whole game, that adds up. That adds up big time. But you're losing a lot of time, so I would try to resolve that the best I can, whether that be turning up my DPI, or if you yourself have good DPI, but you're just like for some reason just panning really stiffly, don't do that. I take more sweeping movements with that, because that is definitely something that's harming you a lot. In terms of your tail attacks, just go for them. Just go for them. I see a lot of the shots you were going for were really good, but the other half of this match was a lot of like hesitation, and a lot of those hesitations cost you to miss out on shots. There were 2 chases you were in with Claudette where like it should have been an easy hit, but because you waited like an extra second or 2 before throwing the tail attack, that window passed where you could have hit her, just because you were like kind of like hesitating a bit. So just go for it. Just feel it out, because you definitely missed the opportunity. Miss all the shots that you don't take, as they say. I think that would have helped you out a lot too. Third takeaway is that you had Claudette dead to rights at 3 gens. You were actively in chase with her at Shack, and after you kicked the chem-trapped Shack pallet, you just stopped chase with her. And she was death hook at 3 gens, which would have been a very advantageous situation for you to be in. But for some reason, you just hopped in a control station and left. Typically, by 2 gens, you need somebody sacrificed in the game if you want to set up a victory. Realistically, because there was people in the background working on gens across the map, you should have been playing more as if you were already at 2 gens. So, yeah, those are the main reasons that match was so rough for you. Yeah, hopefully that helped.